Welcome to the Mental Insights Podcast, a conversation aimed at understanding all sides of mental health, addiction recovery, and homelessness. Each interview will include one's personal experiences and insights, or an expert's advice and knowledge within one of these fields. The goal is to promote awareness, guidance, and support for anyone who is affected by these challenges. Thank you all for listening. Welcome back to the Mental Insights Podcast. This is your host, Brendan.cutuli, and we're here today for Season 2, Episode number 23 with Dr. Robb Kelly. In the previous episode, we spoke with Robb about some of his personal experiences and life lessons in which the way he carries himself today. In this episode, we're going to be speaking specifically about Dr. Robb Kelly's Recovery Group and what he does in order to support people who have faced similar challenges today. Within this topic of conversation, Robb, can you explain a little bit about what really inspired you to start the Robb Kelly Recovery Group? We know that you experienced some of these challenges yourself, but what really brought you to want to create this recovery group, and what really brought you in order to really tangibly make that change and want to truly help others who faced similar challenges?
I think it all came from when I became homeless, watching the devastation on the streets, watching the people that have been abandoned on the streets. And you know quite well, when I spoke to a lot of people that spoke on the streets were not bums. You know, they weren't uneducated people who kind of just got left by society. A lot of people there were educated people and had been to college and universities. And what happened is they were abandoned for whatever reason. And it got me thinking that, I always thought an alcoholic or a homeless person was just somebody who didn't care, jumped out of society, or I don't know. I had that stigma attached to it. So when I was on the streets myself, someone who's been to Oxford, if you don't mind, I mean, how the goodness do you get homeless when you've been to such a great school? But it got me wondering that if I got off the streets, I would help people like me, is what I kept thinking. So that's what I did. I was trying to open the doors from this homelessness to back into being a good member of society. And if I could do it, then anybody could do it. And that is possible. And one of the reasons that I do what I do today is no other reason than to inspire other people, to bear witness to them guys that, hey, look what I've done. It's almost humanly impossible what I've done, from being homeless to being classed as one of the greatest minds in the modern addiction world. That's impossible. Well, it's not. Every time you say to yourself, or someone else says to you, it's impossible, just remember you're missing the apostrophe after the N, after the I. It's I'm possible, not impossible. And if you've had, this is something I come across on the streets. If you think you are worthless, if you think you're not good enough, if you think you can't get out of the rut that you're in, I want to apologize to you guys, because someone put that there. That's not your own thinking as a human being. As a child, the children, we dream of all sorts of stuff. And there's no reason at all why we can't achieve them dreams, because all dreams are, as far as I'm concerned, is reality. A length away, a hand length away. And you got to get up and take it. So I help other people. I think of the parents, just like my parents, when somebody comes to me or I see somebody that's homeless. I think of their parents and what they're going through, because my parents went through absolute hell. In fact, there were times when I went back to visit my parents that my mom would honestly say to me, when you was on the streets homeless, I just wish the police would call to the door and tell us you were dead, so we could stop worrying on a nightly basis. And that's what I think about now. Every time somebody calls to practice, or every time somebody reaches out for help, I can't help but go, this is the one that might make a difference. So that's the reason why I continue to do what I do today.
It's certainly, so applaudable in terms of how you're able to support the people and really take your own experiences and transition into really supporting so many people in such a vast array of what people are really challenged with today. And, there's many people who need help. There's so many out there who are facing these challenges that, we can't help everybody as of now, since the resources are obviously, at a slim margin today. But Could you speak about the process in which you are approaching and having conversations with clients that are trying to seek help? What's the process in which someone comes to you or you go to them in order to, provide the services that you do in your recovery group?
So we're like an IOP, an aftercare group. So many times people go into treatment. When they come out, we'll look after them for a period of 90 days. And what we're basically doing is we're changing the way they think. We're changing the way they behave. We're educating them about the depression or the addiction or whatever else they're suffering from, because education is 9/10 of the law here. You ask any person on the street what an alcoholic is, and they'll tell you it's someone who drinks too much alcohol. You couldn't be further from the truth. So it's an understanding of what they're going through. I often say to my patients, if we could swap places for 5 minutes, you could look at me and I could look at you, all your problems would be over. Because we don't see who we are. We don't see how powerful we actually are. We don't see how good looking we are. We don't see how people turn heads and the impact when we walk into a room. We don't see that because we just don't see it. So it's my job to make people see that and make them understand that it doesn't matter where you've been or how far down the scale you've gone, your future is absolutely amazing if you want it to be amazing. Because the guys running the multi-million-dollar CEO positions are no better than you, no better at all. Some of the guys that are running multi-billion-dollar businesses have never gone to college, and you look at the world today, Uber owns no cars, Airbnb owns no houses, Amazon owns no stock. It's like, come on, guys, the world's out there for what you want to do, but you just need to start believing in yourself. So getting to a place, whether it'll be us or anybody else, that gets you to believe in you is a great start, because this isn't rocket science and everyone wants to make it out that it's so complicated. It's not. You have a mental injury from which we can get over, straighten out, get yourself a spiritual side of life so you can believe in something for once and watch your life hit the stars. Don't put a cap on anything. Don't put a cap on nothing. And remember the saying, says who? Well, you can't be running that company. Says who? You can't drive a Porsche. Says who? Who's making these rules up? It's not me. The guys that are making these rules up, the guys that don't want to dream. Dream, think big, get to someone who can help you. Go through this program. Get your mental health back again. It's the most important thing in the world. Listen to your body. Get educated about all the feelings in your body so that they both do yoga, do meditation. Let's get everything under one roof so that you can perform at the highest level possible, because that's what it's about today. It's what else can we do today? Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. What can I do today? And that's how I live life today. How can I change someone's life today? If I'm driving up a gas station and I see, the woman there with 5 kids in the car and the car's like 30 years old and she's trying to squeeze $5 worth of gas in, I'm stopping. And I'm walking over and I'm filling her gas and I'm giving her $100 to go and buy the kids something. It's all about human beings helping human beings. And when I say thank you to somebody, dopamine starts flying around my brain. And I like dopamine. I'm an addict. So the kinder you are to people, the kinder people will be to you. It's like if you walk into a room and, with a frown on your face and there's 10 people there, 9 probably going to frown back. You walk in the same room with the same people at the same time tomorrow with a smile on your face, most people are going to smile back. So we're like computers. What we put in, we put out. You just got to be careful what you're putting in.
Beautifully said, Rob. I love the way you characterize, the just philosophies of living, the way you hold yourself accountable for every which way and what you believe in and what you think throughout each day. I especially like your insights about, there not being rules. Everybody's, steps to being, whether it's in a position of, success in work, social, or personal life, is all different. We all go through different steps in order to reach that. And what you're saying is we can be here to educate you and set yourself up to succeed. And the one thing that I really loved about, hearing throughout your work is you state that, how we think is our problem, not our drinking. Could you explain more about this process and the way you're educating people to rechange and recharacterize the way they think rather than the way that they drink?
I'm sat outside an awful liquor store at 6 a.m., 5 to 6 in the morning, and not supposed to sell alcohol till 10, but I'm an alcoholic. I'm sweating. It's like below freezing and snowing in Manchester, but I'm sweating like crazy because I'm going into DTs. I have a t-shirt on, a pair of shorts, and a pair of flip-flops stood in the snow, and I'm sweating and I'm shaking and I have a banging headache because I'm going into delirium tremors. I walk into the shop. The guy knows me. He knows he's not supposed to serve it, but he puts a bottle of vodka on the counter and I give him my £10. I put my hand on the bottle of vodka, and this is what I did. The sweat stopped, the headache stopped, my trembling stopped. I remember looking, my whole mood changed, and I looked at the bottle and I thought to myself, I've not even opened the bottle of vodka here. It's not the alcohol, it's my brain. And that was the biggest thing I came across is, wow, it's not that. And again, the realization of what we can actually do as a whole with our thoughts, and therefore our behavior, and therefore our habits, and therefore our life was just phenomenal. You have to realize what you're up against. People say to me, they always want to take a downside of everything. I know I used to. Well, there's no cure for alcoholism. There's no cure for the common cold. But we don't sit and worry about that all our life. It's like, let's get up, let's get out, and let's do it. It's not the drinking, it's your thinking. It's not the gambling, it's your thinking. It's not whatever it may be, it's your thinking about it. We romance the idea that those were the days when you were drinking. Those were never the days. We are allergic to these things. We're allergic to gambling, we're allergic to alcohol, we're allergic to all these drugs that we keep taking. And the sooner we realize that, the better. But it's all the mental obsession. And once you know that, and they're given a few tools to make sure that you can change self-sabotaging neural pathways into healthy neural pathways. 10 years ago, the World Health Organization came out with some fantastic news that the brain is a bit like plastic, hence neuroplasticity. We can change the neural pathway, we can change the way we think, we can change the way we act, we can change who we are. And that's when I come up with no rules. Let's have no rules about anything. Who's making these rules up? I can never recover from alcoholism. Says who? I can never get that. Says, come on, guys, everything's possible in today's world. So the thinking part was huge for me. And then, of course, with the studying of the brain and the way we think and receptors and neural pathways, I started to find out that, you can create a fantastic life in your head and therefore act it out. Because it doesn't matter what it is you want to do, it's possible. The only person that's not going to make that happen is you. It's just, I've seen too many people go from nothing to becoming absolutely something. And I don't mean riches and all that power. I've seen some guys that want to just be the head of the crew that's sweeping the road in our local area. He just wanted to be the manager there of that crew. And he became that. And it's a powerful thing to see. And it was all down to the way he thought by himself. It's the thinking, it's not the drinking. We can change our thinking, we can change our drinking.
It shows you how in control you can be in terms of, taking the measures in order to, succeed. And although people can't really just recover from struggling with alcohol abuse in a matter of days, they need some aspect of support, some aspect of education, which is what you're providing people in order to, make that step, in order to, reach those goals in which they're setting once they have, this clear thought process, this clear mind. And with people not being able to just do it themselves, could you speak about, what kind of support system you're providing for clients in order for them to succeed by themselves in support of your own, recovery group and your own workers in providing some support for the clients at hand?
But it's definitely a process, and that's what we have to remember. It's not an overnight matter. So what we do here, we have like a high-end concierge IOP, where it's not about the alcohol and drugs. Let's forget about that for a second. It's about building a life. It's about walking you through getting that job and walking you through finding that girlfriend or wife, or, walking you through to be a great father or a great son. It's all these things that come after. That's the process. The alcohol and drugs, when you come here, are a given. If you drink again, I'll give you your money back. It's not a problem. The thing is, what sort of life can we create for you? So we believe that once you treat the problem, which is the alcohol or drugs in our case, what about life after that? And that's why for 30 minutes a month, for the rest of your life, free of charge, you get a Skype or Zoom call with me just to check in and go, hey, how you doing? Do you need any more help? Are we good? And our coaches will walk you through them 90 days, and they will come to you to that first job interview and come back to the first visit back to the wife and kids as you go back into the house. And we walk you through these things, telling you all the way to the house that you are amazing, you are a fantastic father. So the brain grabs hold of that, because if I tell you a lie, you might believe it, you might not. But if I tell you a lie often enough, you kind of start to believe it. But if I tell you a lie real often enough, I'm going to start to believe it. So that's what we're doing with the brain. We're getting to there. Why can't you have your family back? Why can't you have that job back? Why can't you go on that vacation? Well, of course you can. I mean, there's only one person stopping that, and that's you. So we make them believe in themselves, but it's a long-term deal that we're in. We're not into just, in for 30 days and then out and we'll see you again if you relapse. It's not about that. It's about building them a life around what we have, and then making them believe that they can do anything whatsoever that they want.
And when you're speaking about, creating this belief system and trying to reframe the brain in which to believe in themselves, obviously being in person, working with specialists in order to retrain your brain to think this way. But in terms of when someone's at home, when someone's by themselves, and say they experience a challenging thought, what tools and skills do you put in place for your clients in order to retrain their brain by themselves when they're at home, when they don't have quick access to someone to be there of a support system?
Everything we learn is a repetition and strengthen that confirms a certain habit or certain form that we do each day. So we make sure that they have a rigid schedule every day. And they can put everything around it, but you must do certain things in the morning, like we write our resentments down, we see if we've harmed anybody, we thank 3 people a day, we write a gratitude list at nighttime, we write a fear list at nighttime, and you do these on a daily basis. And what happens is, once you start recognizing those fears, once you start seeing them resentments, you take the power of it, and it's not built up over a period of time. So every 90 days, the brain chemicals shift slightly in the brain, hence the 90-day treatment. So what happens if you continue to do this and do your nighttime and your morning stuff and stick to a pretty strict regime during the day, you find that the stability usually takes care of itself. Now, alcoholics and addicts are complacent. So what happens is they tend to drop off doing things unless they write it down. So written daily things that we need to do have to be done daily, because that's all we have is a 24-hour cycle before the brain wakes up next morning. And my brain wants to self-sabotage because that's the way it was created. So we have to then strengthen and confirm by repetition, doing the same thing I did yesterday to keep the brain on track. We must always remember that a self-sabotaging brain will always want to do the wrong thing and convince you it's the right thing. So we have to question everything and stick to the routine. Even today, when somebody might go and say, I need to speak to Dr. Robb, and I need him to come here straight away, my assistant will go, nope, he can do it tomorrow, but he's not doing it today because he has a routine today. Now, tonight at 9 o'clock, Janet will give me my day for tomorrow, and I'll work through that day tomorrow and see what I've got. I have no idea what I'm doing tomorrow. I concentrate on what I'm doing today. And all this stuff helps me keep sober and helps me keep on track, because it's not just one single item. Well, if I do this, it's okay, I can do it. No, it's a series, because the brain is so complicated and the alcoholism is so devious that it attacks from all sorts of angles. So, like I was saying before, alcoholism will never come to me and go, hey, Rob, let's have a drink today. It's a week or even a month before when I start getting irritated by people around me. So if I'm getting irritated about people around me, it means that something in my program is missing. So therefore, I go into meditation, I calm the central nervous system down, and I find out exactly what's going on. And that seems to be the key to my future. And if I don't do that, and I've done this before, Brendan, I've relapsed. I've relapsed from getting too cocky. I've relapsed from getting too complacent. And I've relapsed because I think I've got this deal. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to be kind to that guy. I can go and shout at the other guy if I want to because he's really annoying me. You know, I could steal $20 from such and such a buddy because he'll never miss it. That's the stuff I have to look for, because if I do that, it can all go overnight.
It certainly shows how you're able to live in the present, how you're able to be mindful and take it one step at a time, which is certainly a challenging aspect of living your life, but it's one in which that keeps you grounded, keeps you centered in which what you need to do. What do I need to do today? I need to stay in a routine. I need to get these things done. And it truly shows in which how you're characterizing, your own life, how you're bringing, these life lessons into place within the way that you're bringing about, change. And you're continuing to do that throughout the people around you. And for some people, making that initial step of seeking help is always the biggest challenge for some people. And for anyone who may be listening and who may haven't taken that initial step to seek out help, what's your message to someone listening that needs that extra push, that needs that initial step in order to seek out that help?
Just call us, and we'll give you the details later. But I mean, if you've got someone to speak to, call them. If you know someone you can speak to, call them. Just start the dialogue. If you don't, call us. We'll give you some great advice. It's not going to cost you anything. Get a 15-minute chat with me. I'll change the way you think about. I'll tell you perspective on everything you think about in 15 minutes, and give you some direction. If you need a push, I'll give you a push. And if you're worried about nothing, we'll tell you that. We won't do anything that's not in your best interest. But it's the dialogue that's most important. It's the voicing it. When we voice it to somebody else, whether it be a secret or a concern, it takes the power out of it. Now we're not living in the darkness. It's all been brought to the light. And it's just that when it's in the light, there's nowhere to hide. The brain can't deviously go off somewhere and tell you that don't be saying this to anybody because they might think you like. It doesn't make a difference what people think about you. Choose one of them friends we talked about, the ones that want to lift you up, not put you down. Talk to them. Call the treatment center. Call AA anonymously. All these things you can call us and just go, hey, Dr. Robb, this is how I feel. This is what I'm doing. What do you reckon? I'll give it to you straight. And if you need a pep talk to get out there and start your business or jump out of that depression or go and see the XY, give me a call. I'll walk you through that deal. This is not about money. This is about inspiring people. This is about the amount of times I've gone somewhere and somebody's walked up and go, hey, Rob, and I go, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. Yeah, my name's Jimmy. 15 years ago, you spoke in an AA room and it completely changed my life. And now I'm married with kids. I've not drank for 14 years. And I've lost count how many times people do that. So that's why I'm always available for people, because you never know who you inspire. And today, that's what it's all about. I get paid in full when I see people get that job. When I see mamas and dads get the kids back with the sparkle in their eyes and go on. We had to stop doing it, but people used to send us little cards thanking us and flowers. And we had a special room in our building that we used to keep it, but there were too many. There were so many people coming in and thanking us and sending us cards. And it's like, guys, we're paid in full. You did exactly what we told you to do. You've got that job. You're living that life. You have peace today and you have experiences to speak to other people should they be going through it. And I think that's the circle of life. If we continue that, you're in for a good life, guys. You really are.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Rob. And for anybody listening, below in the show notes, you can find Dr. Robb Kelly's website, robbkelly.com, and we'll have that below so you can link that. Within this last question that I love to ask my guest, Rob, it's an encompassing, approach in terms of what your hope is for the future right now. And you've certainly been able to help so many people thus far with the Robb Kelly Recovery Group. But in terms of what's to come, I give my guests this hypothetical question that although money doesn't obviously solve every problem, but an additional supply of money can allow you to allocate more resources in order to support more people and help people who are struggling from these challenges. As we said earlier, we can't really support everybody who's struggling. We don't have those resources and that accommodation to do so. So in this question, I ask that if you were given, a large fund of money, where would you allocate these resources into continuing the great work that you're already doing today? What extensions of the Robb Kelly Recovery Group or what new creative measures would you take in order to support the people that are facing these challenges today?
I would build a 1,000-bed facility in San Antonio for people who can't afford to go into treatment. So it'd all be funded by donations, but the actual buildings obviously would cost millions to do. 1,000-bed rehab with a 1,000-bed detox, and everybody was welcome to start getting a chance. And also within them buildings, we would also have an employment department where people would get people into jobs. We'd have an on-service nurse and doctor where you could see these people, a housing department where you can go and get some houses, maybe an Oxfam in there where you can get some new clothes, and all donations so that these people on the streets can get off the street, get well, get their mental injuries overcome, start being proud of themselves in the clothes that they're wearing, the job that they've just got, and start making a difference in life, because that's all it takes. And look at me, homeless to here. I mean, it's a million miles away. It's not. It's possible, and it's possible for you. And I think if I could give these people a chance of just to step up and go, hey, I mean, I've seen on television where they get somebody who's down and out or something, and they give them a shave and do all the hair and a nice suit and they get a job. It's phenomenal what we can do. Mankind being kind to men. That's just come to me now, but I think that would be awesome if we could all do that and just, see what people are capable of doing, some amazing things. But we are taught, that you're not good enough. You'll never be good enough. You're homeless. You'll just stay there. You can't afford to get well. You can't afford to get well. It's 2020. There should be no such thing as cost, regarding these things. Because I've seen some guys come up. I've met scientists on the streets who've just lost their house, or the wife was cheating on them and they went crazy. But all these people who are capable of doing a lot of stuff are not given the chance. So that's what I would do. And that's the legacy I would like to leave on this earth as I went. Say that guy, Robb Kelly, he was a pretty good guy, and he just wanted to help people.
You're certainly doing it thus far, and I can't wait to see how you continue to push this movement, whether, there's more funds, as you're saying, to do these creative measures, or whether it's continuing the great work that you already are doing. I really appreciate you taking this time with me today, Robb. It was such a pleasure learning your own personal experiences and how you've really been able to transition that into supporting so many people that have faced similar challenges as yourself.
Thank you so much, Brendan. It was absolutely awesome being on. I hope I've inspired somebody and do something I don't usually do every now and again. But here's my personal cell phone number for them people out there who think I can't do it, or I don't want to do it, or look at Dr. Robb, he's okay, he's got this, that, and everything. I'm speaking as Robb, a homeless person that once was. 214-600-0210. Call me. That's not to my staff, that's to me. If you're going through what I've been through, have a guess what, guys? I know a way out, and it's free of charge, and I'll pass it on to you. Let's do this deal.
Awesome, Robb. It was such a pleasure. I greatly appreciate you doing that. My audience should definitely take that into consideration. For anyone out there listening that needs that help, that needs a simple conversation with Dr. Robb Kelly, he's here to do it. You heard it there. Give him a call if you need it. Please take advantage of what he just offered here today. So, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Robb, again. This was season 2, episode number 23 with Dr. Robb Kelly. It was such a pleasure. This was your host, Brendan Cutuli. Thank you all for listening to today's episode of the Mental Insights Podcast. Make sure to reach out to today's guest or myself if you need any advice, guidance, or support in your life today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and review to this podcast so we know what you thought of this episode. I look forward to being in touch with you all in the next episode. I hope you all have a wonderful day.